Hiedi Scott with DIY Dreaming, and today I have 3 fun and pretty unique craft projects to do with you. They are going to involve these Dollar Tree Luau skirts. They are going to involve some vintage sheet music, and they're going to involve some pine needles. So it should be really fun and different. Okay, we're going to be making tassels. We're going to make tassels out of vintage sheet music and corks. We're going to make tassels out of luau skirts, and we're going to make tassels out of pine needles. And I'm going to tell you everything from start to finish. So as you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Feel free to sprinkle. Feel free to ask questions, all that normal stuff. Okay, so I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is the sheet music. And I just want to let you know, my desk is a complete disaster here, that you really can use any kind of paper that you would like to use for this project. I'm just using some sheet music that I picked up at Goodwill a few years ago. There's nothing special about this. It could be vintage, but if your paper is very old, then you may have a little bit of a problem with it crumbling. Okay, I'm just using an X-Acto knife to take some papers out of my little book here. Right, I'm gonna throw this over here. And then, whenever I'm using sheet music or book pages to make tassels, I like to cut off all this dead space that's around the edges, because I don't think that looks great. So this doesn't have to be super perfect. We're just trimming off the... I made this project for the first time, I think it was 3.5 years ago, and I made a whole bunch of them, and I put them on my Christmas tree, and they were beautiful. And I'll show you an example of that. These that we're going to be making today, they're going to be very similar to what I made for my Christmas tree, but they're going to be beaded, and they're going to be more neutral in color. Okay, so you can see I've just trimmed all the edges off. And then essentially what we're going to do, your tassel can be as big or as small as you want. I'm just going to cut my paper in half. And then if you want to save time and you have a good pair of scissors, you can cut multiple pieces all at the same time. And all you're going to do is cut these little strips up on your paper. This really is probably too many layers to do and do a good job. So these little strips coming up on your paper can be as wide or as narrow as you want. If you don't have sheet music, you can use any kind of book page. You could use scrapbook paper. You could probably use magazine pages. I don't know about wrapping paper because normally it's kind of stiff. But anyways, you get the idea here. You're just going to cut a whole bunch of strips up. All right? And before I came live, I did just that, so you wouldn't have to sit and watch me do an entire thing. And I did want to point out, when I was working on this part before I came live, you don't want to use these pages that look like this. So I would throw this away. I just wanted to show it to you. You want to use pages that have sheet music on it. And I have a whole bunch of it all set aside now, ready to go for some future project. All right, then you're going to use a cork, and it could be either a champagne cork or a wine cork. It does not matter. I do like to use the champagne cork a little better because you can see the shape of it. And usually I'll glue, I'm going to show you how to do that, the book pages or sheet music just below this little bump. And with wine corks, they're straight. But I am always looking when I'm at thrift stores, and I got this gigantic bag, which Now it's like 3/4 of it is gone for $5.99. Alternatively, you could drink a whole bunch of champagne and wine, or you could ask at a restaurant or bar if they would save those for you. And you can also buy wine corks and champagne corks at craft stores, but I have found that they're kind of expensive. So I generally don't do that. Okay, and I'm going to use these little eye hooks. They come in a brass color, a silver, or I don't know what this is called, pewter, zinc, look, in all different sizes. And I got these at the hardware store, I think probably at Home Depot. So the eye of the little screw, they come in different sizes. Just be aware of that. And I'm just going to take the top of my champagne cork and push my little screw in here. This is pretty easy. And it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. And I'm just twisting it on into the cork. This is what we're going to hang our little tassel on. Okay, let me show you the one I have in my tub of Christmas decor downstairs in the basement. I have a whole bunch of these. This is one I just happened to have laying out. And the year I made these, I had a black and white theme for my Christmas tree. So, isn't that cute? Okay, I know someone's gonna ask this question because I get this question all the time. What are these for? These are for decoration. You can hang them on a cabinet, you could put them on a Christmas tree, you could put a long beaded garland on them, you could hang them on like something like this in your kitchen. You can do whatever you want to do. They're just decorative, they don't have any useful purpose. So, I know someone will ask that, and that's the answer. All right, I'm going to be using my low temperature hot glue gun today because I'm very likely to get hot glue on my fingers and I don't want to get burned. This is a Surebonder Cool Shot. It's a super cheap hot glue gun, low temperature, and I feel like it's even a little lower temperature than a regular low temperature hot glue gun. It's Surebonder. You can find these at Walmart, at Hobby Lobby, probably at Joann's and Michael's, any place that has crafting supplies. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be wrapping our paper around this. So I'm going to start with some glue right here, and then I'm just going to lay my paper into it. And then as I go around, I'm going to be gluing and kind of scrunching it in. So I'm going to lay it down, put a strip of glue on here, roll it, scrunch it in. Because the paper is straight and the champagne cork is not completely straight. So that's why you're scrunching a little bit as you're going along. This is so easy. And it's kind of addicting. If you love making those pulled string burlap flowers, do I have any of those hanging out around here? Like on this wreath right here. You're most likely gonna love doing these because you can do them out of, in any style you want, any color of paper you want. That you can do the little tassel part long or short. They're just really fun. Okay, and I'm going to probably do 3 pieces of paper. So I'm just going to start another one where I finished up basically. And you can put them on going whatever direction you want. This is a good messy crafter craft. So you can see, look at all those. Don Nicholas did a whole bunch of emojis. Thank you. Sweet. Okay, so this is the second piece of paper. If you want them to be super full, then just keep adding more strips of paper to it. So as I'm going along, I'm kind of scrunching it in. You can see it's a little bit kind of pinched. We're going to cover that up, so don't worry. Okay, this is 2 pieces of paper. And there are millions of glue strings. And I have them on my fingers, so I know I would have gotten burned if I had used a regular temperature hot glue gun. Okay, this is not a good piece of paper to have on the front, but this side would be good. And I usually like to end right about here. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. I'm gonna find that spot where I ended and start again. Just rolling it and pinching it in, scrunching it. Okay, the reason why I like to end right here is because it's going to look nice, I think. Okay, obviously this one is longer than this one because the music that I was using must have been smaller. This is more of a yellower paper. This is more of a whiter paper. But all that does not matter. And now you can decide how you want to embellish it. And I'm doing this kind of creamy lace theme for these projects that I'm working on today. So I'm just going to use some of this lace or this. This kind came from Hobby Lobby when it was on sale. This kind came from Dollar Tree. All right. And these are those ribbon cards that I showed recently how to do. All right, I'm going to take some off of this. And where's my pin? Pin it back down. And we'll make the this in just a minute. And you can do all kinds of different things with that. Okay, so I just want to cover up this part right here. And like I said, you can use absolutely any kind of ribbon or trim that appeals to you, that goes with your decor, or that makes sense for what kind of a theme you're doing or the season. I have done probably in the last 3.5 years 5 different videos on this same idea. I also did one on the pine needles, and I may have done something. I know I did something similar on the idea with the hula skirts. I'll show you those in just a minute. So this is not my first time making these, and I'm sure it won't be my last. This is exactly my kind of a project. I like things that are quick and easy and sometimes kind of different. Okay, and you could just do one time around with your ribbon or multiple times around like I just did. It does not matter. I will use my heat gun when I'm all finished to get all of these glue strings off. Okay, this is what I have. I could have used this wider cream, and I think I am going to add some seashells to this because I'm doing kind of a beachy theme for this. So I have this little jar of miniature seashells that I picked up at Dollar Tree. And where's the seam? So I'm just going to put some seashells on here. They could go any design you want. Hold this up in just a second. I usually do this kind of a decoration in odd numbers, so either 3 or 5. Let's see, I just put some little seashells on there. And let's do our garland now, which is super easy. Okay, my preferred jute to use for these kind of projects that involve wood beads is this stuff. It's called natural polished hemp. I get this at Walmart in the craft section, but it's actually with the jewelry making things, and it's polished. So you guys, it's easier to get it beads threaded on it. Way easier, in my opinion. It's just nice, and it's not expensive at all. Okay, and I'm gonna just find my middle, and I'm gonna poke it through my what are these called? Screw eyes is what they're technically called. I'm just poking this through. Now I'm gonna pull my tail through it. Alrighty. And then I'm gonna put some beads on here. And I have a combination out today of white and black or natural. And I think I'm gonna keep it natural because that's sort of my theme here. I know someone will ask, where do you get your beads? You can order these online, like on Amazon. During Christmas, Walmart had these great tree garlands that had all kinds of great beads on them, and I bought multiples of those when they were on sale, and I just cut them apart. So a lot of these beads here came from that. So I'm going to thread 2 strings, both of these, through each bead. And I need to cut these the same length. That's my problem. Okay, so see, this is 2 thicknesses. And I'm just going to do a small, big, small, big, small, big, small. When you're looking for beads to craft with, one thing you want to look at for sure is how big is the hole. I don't know what the diameter of this is, but I just know that when I've purchased wood beads before and they had a really narrow hole in them, they were hard to work with. Honestly, if I had cut this longer, we could keep going as long as we wanted. Let's stop. Let's stop with 3. 3 of each. So I'm going to tie a knot at the top of this. Who is in the mood for a beach trip? I am 100%. Then I'm going to tie another knot here at the end, which will give us something to hang this on. I don't know, the scale might be wrong. It might be too long with all these things on it. That's so personal preference. But here's the one that I did just probably 3 years ago. So can you see how totally easy that is? And depending on what kind of ribbon you're using, and any doodads, what color beads you have, it can make a huge difference. All right, let's do the pine needles next. Stay with me because I'm going to show you what you can do with these hula skirts, or they're called luau skirts, from Dollar Tree. And if you happen to see them at your Dollar Tree, grab one. You get more of this material if you buy an adult luau skirt than a child one. And I could swear that I saw some that were blue and green at one point, but when I went back to try to purchase those, they weren't there anymore. So this is what it looks like. And you don't need a ton of these to make this next project. Okay, this is where we're going. All right, I'm going to use this child skirt that I have right here. You can see how much shorter it is, just because it's out of the package and I've been crafting with it. And these come on this piece of jute. So you're just going to pull, just slide the ends off. And you can make your tassel as thick or thin as you want. I'm going to make a really thick one. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. They come on this jute, and they have like a knot is what's holding them. But we're not gonna make our tassel be this long, although you certainly could. We're gonna double it and make our tassel be this folded in twice. And I'm gonna get a long piece of my and find roughly the middle. Go a loop around it twice and tie a knot. Oops. Okay. All right, this is what we have. One end of this is where those little knots were. The other end is the end of the skirt. With the adult one, I feel like you could do 3 times. Okay, I want to cut all these little knots off. And I don't want them to go absolutely everywhere, so I can get my trash can out. And this is just whatever scale you think makes sense. I'm just gonna do a first trim and then I'll come back and adjust it. So see, there's a few scragglers that I need to cut off. Once this is all assembled, you can trim it further to make it nice and neat if you would like. So this is going to be a big, full, long tassel. And I'm going to take another piece of this polished hem, just for the tummy, and we'll make this little bump. And that could be however far down you want. It really does not matter. Just going to go around it a few times. Gosh, there's a lot of people on, and thank you to everyone who did stars. I so appreciate that. Barbie says, hi from cloudy Ohio. You know what? I live in the Atlanta area, and it is a gorgeous day today. So I am planning to spend some time this afternoon outside. I have a lot of computer things to do. So I'm going to take my iPad out with me and spend a part of the afternoon outside. So I hope it's nice where you guys are. Okay, and I just went around this, I don't know how many times, it really does not matter. I'm going to do a double knot. We're going to cover that up, but you wouldn't have to if you don't want to. All right, and then these both the same length. And then we would basically just start putting our beads on. Oh, and I want to show you some of these beads that I have in here. Did you know that you can use a marker to decorate your natural wood beads? You can. And they look super cute. Okay. We won't do all of these, but let me just get this going. And I'm just going to alternate small, medium, small, medium, small, medium. What do you guys think about this idea so far? Kathy Moon says it's raining really hard. It's been thundering and lightning. It's supposed to stop at 3. Where are you? We had that weather all week, and I was like, is it ever going to be nice in Georgia? And it is. Oh my gosh, it's a glorious, beautiful day today. I need some vitamin D. How about you guys? Does anyone else need some vitamin D? So you could continue adding as many as you wanted on here. If you have a bead that looks like this, you can just take the end of your scissors and kind of put it in there and clear it out. Okay, I want to show you, I'm going to just finish this up. You could alternatively do a loop like this if you wanted. But I want to show you a couple other craft projects that I have done, and I will keep working on this because I'm going to do a long tail, but I'll finish that part up after. I'm not live anymore because I don't think it's fun to watch somebody do that. I'm going to cut these little things off the tummy where we tied it in a knot. And let's use some of this thicker, yeah, this is going to look nice, thicker like it's a lace. Hey, do you guys remember, I've been using this a lot lately, when we made these pin cushions out of small embroidery hoops? So this lace, I believe, came from Hobby Lobby, I'm pretty sure. I've had it forever. And somebody was just asking me today, can you put lace on these little ribbon cards? Yes, you absolutely can. Then I just use a pin to hold it on there. All right, we need our glue gun. So, if you wanted to do yours with a bright green ribbon or blue or polka dots, you could totally use whatever width and style you want. I'm just going super neutral with this project today. And yeah, okay, so I'm just gluing this right on the tummy. What I'll do is I will just run a band of glue on either side where this is kind of braided. So if you missed the beginning of this video when I'm all finished here, when I'm not live anymore, you can come back and watch this from the beginning. if you want to. So this is where we're headed. And for a summary look, I got out some bigger seashells. We could do something like one of these. Okay, I don't have a very pretty seashell, so I'm gonna look in my stash here for just a second to see if I can find something better. I found this bag of seashells probably last winter at my Goodwill. And it was, ooh, that's a pretty one. Let's use this one. It was, oops, I don't know, $5 or something. So don't overlook your thrift stores for seashells. If you're at the beach and wanting to buy seashells at a destination, beach destination, you're going to pay 10 times more money than if you look for them in a thrift store or just keep your eyes peeled for them. I'm going to use some more of these little seashells. This will be pretty. Okay, ignore the glue strings and the fact that it's not, that I haven't finished this tail up yet. But look how pretty that is. And it's just, this is just a small part of a hula skirt. And we could trim it, I probably will trim it a little bit shorter. But here's the other one that I made before I came live, just to show you that you have lots of options. And I have a neutral with lace and seashell kind of theme going on here. So, all right, that is another one. And then I also want to show you this most unusual idea, and I'll tell you all about it, using pine needles. I made, that year that I made all of these guys for my Christmas tree, I also made a ton of ornaments using the pine needles that were laying in my yard. And I didn't dig those out because they're in a box in the basement somewhere. But this is basically what you're going to be looking for. When I made them, it was probably November, and in our backyard we have these woods. There were a ton of fresh green pieces of pine boughs that had fallen down like this. So I made them all that year using the green ones, but you can also use these. And because they were laying on the ground in my backyard, and I didn't know if there would be critters or not, the ones that were kind of on the, like this, I put them on a cookie sheet on a piece of foil in my oven at 150 for like 20 minutes, just to cook out any little critters that might possibly have been in here. And honestly, I didn't find any that fell out, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay, and you're gonna notice if you do this that they come in all different lengths. So you probably do want to use the pine needles that are mostly the same length, although we could trim them for sure. And you're just going to tap them down till you get to this little part right here that connects them to the tree branch. If you don't have pine trees in your backyard, maybe your neighbor does, or a relative. So these are the green ones that I pulled off of one. And these are the ones that I cooked. I don't really have enough of this green to do a tassel. Well, no, so we're gonna use this for right now, but just know that it's the same process. And the ones that I made several years ago for Christmas ornaments, they're still green, which is crazy. They never browned up. I didn't cook the green ones because I didn't want to make them turn brown. Okay, and then you're going to use a rubber band just to cinch it all together. And it doesn't matter what color you use. Craft room is a disaster. I'm going to cut some of these really long tips off. I'll cut them sort of at an angle so it doesn't look like a blunt chop. So it looks like maybe these were actually that length. Okay, that's a little better. All right, and this is the one I made before I came live. So I put this lace below the top part of these ones for this project, but we're going to do it up higher for the next one just so that you can see. I'm going to roll my rubber band up as high as I can get it to go because I want to cover that up. And I'm going to use some of this thicker, this lace again. Dora Becerra says she's watching from Los Angeles. Yay, how's your weather? So keep in mind, if this idea that I'm doing looks boring to you because I'm just using these very natural colors and seashells, keep in mind that you can do these projects in any color you want. You're so sweet, Jana. She says, pine needles, you have a God-given gift of creativity. Aw, that's so sweet of you. Okay, so like I said, I want to glue my lace up higher. So I'm just going to put some glue on to attach it almost to the top. And it's covering up the rubber band, so we're good with that. I'm going to just keep going around and around. On this one, I made the little garland and I glued it on either side, inside of the lace. But I'm not going to do that on this one. So I was thinking about tassels as a project for today, and isn't it funny how different thoughts come into your mind in the middle of the night? Usually I'm not very happy to be awake in the middle of the night, but last night I was like, oh my gosh, I did pine needles. I wonder if there's any pine boughs that have fallen in our backyard. As soon as it's morning and light, I'm going to go outside and look. And sure enough, there were a few. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Because I wanted to do unusual or unique tassels as my theme for today. That is what that looks like so far. And then we could, I wonder if we could use one of these. I don't know if it will stay, but let's try. These are those eye hooks. I have so much glue on my fingers, it's not even funny. Okay, so basically I'm just going to cram it in here in the center, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of glue down in that hole. And we'll see. It's not like we're going to hang anything super heavy on it, so this might work. Just might. And I want to do another idea with a larger seashell and some smaller ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this one right here. It will cover the start and end. And then I'm going to take some of this polished hemp. If you missed the beginning where I talked about the supplies, when I'm not live anymore, you can come back and watch from the beginning and get all that information if you would like. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I've just folded it in half. I'm going to poke this loop through my little eye hook and pull the tail through it. And then I'm just going to do a couple of beads on this one. I really didn't need this much of this polished hemp, but this stuff comes from Walmart. It's the best to use when you're working with wood beads because it's polished and it's pretty easy to thread through these wood beads. And I will come back and clean up all the glue mess that's right here. But I would tie a knot right here at the top bead. And then I would do another knot. And this is where you could hang this on a cabinet or whatever you would like to do. Or you could be continuing on with a long garland. So here's this one. What do you think? And here's the other one. And I'm going to look through my photos this afternoon to see if I can find pictures of the tassels that I made with green pine needles from my yard. So if you don't have pine trees, be thinking about your friends and what they have grown in their backyard, or your mom or your sister. Or is there a park that has a lot of pine trees that you could go to and pick them up off the ground? Once they've already fallen, I don't see any reason not to pick them up and take them home with you. Okay, so the brown ones that were just laying on the ground, I did put them on a piece of tin foil in the oven at 150 for like 20 minutes just to cook out if there were any critters in there, but I didn't see any. And they were already brown, so there's no harm in doing that. But when I worked with the green pine needles a few years back, I didn't do anything to prepare them other than to shake them out really good outside. So let me just hold up our different tassels. Oh wait, and I wanted to show you I keep forgetting, some things that I have made in the past using these hula skirts. So this was a braided Dollar Tree nautical rope wreath that I made probably a month ago, something like that. And I did this bow here at the bottom using the hula skirt, which looks like this. From Dollar Tree. Can you believe that? This is one of my favorite projects, seriously. I also, 2 or 3 summers ago, we made these little, you can put them over a door. And this is just the same deal of the Dollar Tree Luau skirts that I cut different lengths and braided. This one has sea glass on it. And I used painter's drop cloth around the tummies instead of lace. So you can see that there's a ton of different things that you could do with these. And if your Dollar Tree has them, grab one at least so that you can do some of these projects. So these are the different things that we made today. I'll get good pictures of everything. We did the sheet music. You could use any kind of paper you want. Scrapbook paper. You might even be able to use newspapers. I don't know, I haven't tried that. Books, whatever. And then we made some of these tassels with shells in a very natural look using the hula or luau skirts. And then I showed you how to make these pine needle tassels. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and you know, I know my colors and my style for this may not be yours. You might prefer brighter colors or bigger or whatever, but really I just wanted to get your wheels turning on what you could do with some of these things, like a luau skirt, some sheet music, or some pine boughs from your backyard. I just wanted to get your wheels turning on all the things that you can do with those, and show you how, and then hopefully you'll take those ideas and make them your own, in your own colors, in your own style, for your house, for gifts, whatever. If you decide to do any of these tassel projects, I would really love to see pictures. And if you haven't already joined the free Facebook group that I have for us to share our craft project pictures, please do. It's Dreamy DIY. So it's DREAMY space DIY on Facebook. And then be sure to answer the questions, which are, will you be nice? Do you promise not to use that group to try to sell anything? And do you promise not to share other crafters' videos in that group? Because then I get 100 questions of how did you do this or that? And it wasn't even a project I know anything about. So share pictures of your projects and look through the photos, and you will get a bazillion amazing ideas over at Dreamy DIY. And I want to see what you're making. So I hope that this was inspirational to you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you missed the beginning, come back and watch this on replay. You could also post it to your page, your Facebook page, if you want to be able to come back and watch it later. Feel free to sprinkle, feel free to ask questions, although I have addressed everything, basically every question that I could anticipate in this video. So I hope you liked it. I had fun getting all this stuff ready for you guys. Have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow for Christ in Crafting. Bye, everyone.